It's clear that every student is going to need more than a high school diploma in the future and some sort of post-secondary credential. I think increasingly people are realizing that the mark of a good college experience, so not just the admissions, but the actual experience itself, is in those institutions where they can take students from whichever walk of life they happen to enter and really add value to them in a way that improves their life fortunes, where they actually learn, connect to new social networks, and are able to get jobs that they otherwise would never have been able to see. As students look at the equation for how much they should borrow when they go to college, they ought to be thinking of the total debt that they take on as not being more than 10 to 15% of what their earnings going to be when they leave college. And so you really want to be mindful that you're not crossing that threshold of payments that are just going to crush your income because they're taking up, say, 20, 30% of your monthly paycheck. If you're in that realm, you're going to have problems in the long run. It's no doubt that getting a master's or a PhD right now has more value in the market than, say, a bachelor's degree, as we see a lot of degree inflation right now in the marketplace. But there is a question, is all graduate school equal? And my sense is that the answer is no. So if you're looking, say, at getting an MBA, if you're going to go to a top 20, top 30, top 40 or 50 maybe school, there's a clear return on investment. It's an elite school. You're entering a very clear social network that will help you find a job, that will help you get ahead, that will create a career pathway for you over time. That's probably going to pay off. If you're going to a bottom 50 MBA program, I think the equation is very different. You have to throw out the averages and look at the graduates from those programs specifically. And my sense is that it's very uneven there. And frankly, the MBA, you're seeing a lot of contraction in that market right now, where applications for elite schools continue to go up. But for the rest of the MBA programs out there, students are starting to catch on that it's not the investment that they maybe thought it was. And so they're not applying as nearly as much in the same numbers. So debt is a topic that gets a lot of interest right now in higher education circles. We see soaring debt, $1.5 trillion at least of student debt out there, where students are taking on significant loans to go to colleges and universities. What I think is interesting about the story is that it's not even. If you look at an average, you see it's roughly $26,000, $27,000 of debt per student. But if you dive into that a little bit more with a fine-tooth comb, you see it's a much more nuanced picture. A lot of that debt is for students who are attending graduate school, for example, where there's going to be a clear payoff on the other side. If you're taking out $80,000 in debt to go to law school, for example, and you're going to a top law school, that's probably a reasonable investment. If you're going to a bottom third law school, that's a question you ought to be asking yourself: is this worth it? And a lot of students, the most crippling debt is when you don't complete. So a lot of students, it turns out, they'll go to a 2-year college, say, take out only maybe $10,000 in debt. It doesn't sound like a lot, but if they don't complete, it can be crippling because they're not going to have the wage bump from getting that college credential. And so you're going to be earning roughly as much as someone with a high school diploma is, but you'll have taken out $10,000 in debt, paying not just the debt back, but also the interest on top of it. That can be really punishing to make the books work as you're trying to think through raising a family, owning a home maybe in the future, and other life decisions like that. And if college doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel intrinsically like the right decision for you, it's probably not the right decision, because we see that at least 40% of students are not completing that degree within 6 years. You don't want to be part of that number for its own sake. You may go to college ultimately, but maybe college is not right now. And so you do a gap year, or you do an apprenticeship, or you do an internship that allows you to learn more about what you're really passionate about, so that when you do go to college 3, 4, 5 years later, you go super motivated and making sure that you're actually going to complete, so that that investment in time and money is worthwhile on the other end.